The stars twinkled peacefully in the vast darkness of space as the Council's patrol ship emerged from its faster-than-light jump. The ship's commander, a tall blue-skinned alien named Vale, stood on the bridge with his 4 arms crossed behind his back. His large eyes widened as the sensors detected an unusual signal from a nearby solar system. "Report," Vale ordered, his voice deep and commanding. "Sir, we've found a developing civilization," the sensor operator replied. "They've achieved spaceflight and have begun colonizing their solar system. But there's something different about them." Vale walked over to the main screen, watching as images of Earth appeared. He saw cities sprawling across continents, satellites orbiting the planet, and colonies on their moon and Mars. But what caught his attention were the military installations, the warships, and the weapons. "They're so aggressive," Vale muttered. "Send the data to Council headquarters immediately." Meanwhile, on Earth, Captain James Walker of the United Earth ship Thunderchild was leading a routine patrol near Jupiter when his crew detected the alien vessel. "Unknown ship detected at the edge of our solar system," reported his radar officer. "It's unlike anything we've ever seen, sir." Walker straightened in his command chair. Humanity had long prepared for this moment. First contact with alien life. They had protocols, procedures, and most importantly, they had hope for peaceful interaction. "Send the first contact package," Walker ordered. "All frequencies, all languages. Show them we come in peace." The message went out, carrying Earth's greetings, scientific knowledge, and cultural information. The crew waited anxiously for a response, but what came next wasn't what anyone expected. The Council ship transmitted back a short message. "Your species has been evaluated and found wanting. The Council has determined you are too dangerous to join galactic society. Quarantine protocols are now in effect." Before Walker could respond, hundreds of satellites began appearing around the solar system, creating a massive energy barrier. The Thunderchild sensors went crazy as readings showed the barrier wasn't just containing Earth, it was slowly killing it. "Sir, these readings..." The science officer's voice shook. "The barrier is designed to slowly break down our atmosphere. They're not quarantining us. They're executing us." Walker's hands gripped his chair's armrests. "Send everything we've learned back to Earth Command. Maximum speed." Back on Earth, the response was swift. The United Earth Defense Council gathered in their underground headquarters beneath the Rocky Mountains. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials from every nation watched the data streaming in from the Thunderchild. Admiral Stone, an older man with gray hair and stern features, stood before the assembly. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face extinction. The Alien Council has judged us without knowing us. They fear our potential, our strength, our determination. They've made a grave mistake." Dr. Anna White, Earth's leading quantum physicist, stepped forward. "The barrier they've created is advanced, but not unbeatable. We've detected weaknesses in its structure. But more importantly, we've learned something about their technology. They rely too heavily on energy weapons and shields. They've forgotten the basic principles of kinetic warfare." The assembly buzzed with discussion. Humanity had spent centuries preparing for alien contact, hoping for peace but ready for war. Now, they faced an enemy who had judged them unworthy of existence. "We have one advantage," Admiral Stone continued. "They think we're primitive. They expect us to accept our fate. They don't understand human nature. We don't surrender. We don't give up. And we certainly don't die quietly." The assembly voted unanimously. Earth would fight back. Every nation would contribute resources, technology, and personnel to create humanity's greatest achievement, a warship that would show the Council their terrible mistake. As the meeting ended, Admiral Stone looked out a window at the night sky, now distorted by the alien barrier. "They think they're our executioners," he said quietly, "but they've just awakened a sleeping giant." Around Earth, factories began retooling. Scientists shared their most secret research. Soldiers trained for space combat. The Council had meant to end humanity quietly, but instead, they had united Earth like never before. The race against time had begun. Humanity had to build their ultimate weapon before the barrier destroyed their world, and when they were done, the Council would learn why you should never corner a species that had spent its entire history overcoming impossible odds. The age of peace was over. The age of humanity's revenge was about to begin. 6 months after the Council's barrier appeared, Earth's largest shipyard floated in orbit above the planet. Hidden from the Council's sensors by experimental stealth technology, thousands of workers moved through space, building humanity's answer to extinction. Dr. Anna White stood at the observation deck, watching as massive plates of armor were attached to the frame of the largest ship ever built by human hands. Behind her, Commander Thomas Reed walked in, his boots making soft sounds on the metal floor. "How's our baby doing, Doctor?" Reed asked, joining her at the window. His weathered face reflected in the reinforced glass as he studied the massive ship taking shape before them. "The Retribution will be ready on schedule," she replied, pride clear in her voice. "We've installed technologies that didn't even exist 6 months ago. Amazing what humans can do when we're backed into a corner." Below them, the Retribution grew piece by piece. Nearly 2 miles long, the ship looked unlike anything humanity had built before. Its dark hull absorbed light rather than reflecting it, making it seem like a moving shadow in space. Multiple layers of armor protected vital systems, while hidden weapon ports covered every angle. In the ship's main engineering bay, workers installed the revolutionary quantum drive core. Unlike the Council's ships, which relied on predictable faster-than-light travel, the Retribution could jump instantly to any point in space, ignoring the normal rules of physics. "The Council thinks they know everything about space travel," Dr. White explained to Reed as they toured the engine room. "But they stopped innovating centuries ago. They never imagined someone could find a way around their laws of physics." Reed nodded, watching engineers calibrate the massive engines. "And our weapons systems. That's where we really surprised ourselves," Dr. White smiled. "The Council relies entirely on energy weapons and shields. They'd forgotten about simple kinetic force. Our main gun uses electromagnetic acceleration to fire solid projectiles at near-light speed. No shield they have can stop that much physical force." The tour continued through the ship's combat center, where crews trained on advanced targeting systems. The Retribution carried thousands of automated point defense turrets, each controlled by a hybrid system of human operators and artificial intelligence. Every weapon could think and adapt faster than any Council ship. "The best part," Dr. White said, pointing to the walls, "is the armor. We've layered it with nanomaterials that actually get stronger when hit with energy weapons. The harder they hit us, the tougher we become." In the ship's massive hangar bay, crews prepared squadrons of fighter craft. Unlike the Council's predictable attack patterns, these fighters were designed to be unpredictable, each piloted by Earth's best pilots chosen from every nation's air forces. Admiral Stone arrived as they reached the bridge, a massive command center filled with holographic displays and control stations. "Commander Reed," he said firmly, "your crew is ready. We've selected the best from every nation, every military force on Earth. They're all volunteers. They all know this might be a one-way mission." Reed walked to the captain's chair, running his hand along its arm. "The Council thinks they know war," he said quietly. "They think they understand violence. But they've never fought humans before. We studied their patrol ships' weapons, their tactics, their technology. They fight like machines, following the same patterns they've used for centuries. And we don't," Admiral Stone added. "We adapt. We improvise. We overcome." Dr. White checked her tablet as alarms began sounding throughout the shipyard. "The barrier is beginning to affect our atmosphere. We're detecting increased degradation. We have maybe 2 months before permanent damage begins." Reed sat in his chair, his face set with determination. "Then we launch in 1 month. Better to take the fight to them than wait for death here." Around the ship, crews began final preparations. The Retribution systems came online one by one, power flowing through its massive frame. In the weapon bays, magazines were loaded with advanced ammunition. In the engine room, the quantum drive hummed to life, defying the laws of physics that the Council thought unbreakable. Admiral Stone looked at the massive ship through the shipyard's windows. "They wanted to execute us quietly," he said. "Instead, they forced us to build this. The Council's arrogance ends soon." As Earth's atmosphere slowly died above them, humanity's greatest achievement prepared for war. The Retribution would carry humanity's fury to the stars, and the Council would learn why you should never threaten a species that had survived ice ages, asteroids, plagues, and their own nuclear weapons. The real war was about to begin. The Retribution appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like a ghost, its dark hull absorbing nearby starlight. On the bridge, Commander Reed watched as 3 Council blockade ships came into view. Each alien vessel glowed with bright energy shields, their crews completely unaware of humanity's approaching vengeance. "Battle stations," Reed ordered calmly. Red lights flashed throughout the massive ship as crews ran to their posts. "Let's show them how humans fight." The Council ships detected the Retribution moments later. Their response was predictable, exactly as human intelligence had expected. They formed a triangle pattern, energy weapons charging, shields brightening to maximum power. "They're broadcasting a warning," the communications officer reported. "They're ordering us to turn back or be destroyed." Reed allowed himself a small smile. "Send them our response." The Retribution's main gun spoke first. A solid tungsten rod, accelerated to near-light speed, crossed the space between ships in less than a second. It struck the lead Council ship's shields and passed through them like they weren't there. The alien vessel split in half, its crew having no time to realize that their superior technology had failed them. "Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons," Dr. White said from her station, checking readings. They never thought someone would just throw a really fast rock at them. The remaining Council ships reacted with shock, their neat formation breaking apart. They fired their energy weapons, bright beams of light streaking toward the Retribution. But when the beams struck the human ship's armor, something unexpected happened. The nanomaterial hull absorbed the energy, growing stronger. "Launch fighter squadrons," Reed commanded. "Show them how humans learn to fight in 3 dimensions." From the Retribution's massive hangar bays, hundreds of small fighters emerged. Unlike the Council's rigid attack patterns, Earth's pilots flew like daredevils, unpredictable and aggressive. They swarmed around the alien ships, their small kinetic weapons pounding away at the increasingly useless energy shields. "Sir," the sensor officer called out, "they're calling for reinforcements." "Perfect." Reed nodded to his tactical officer. "Time to test our point defense systems." More Council ships began appearing, jumping in from faster-than-light travel. They arrived in perfect military formation, and straight into the Retribution's trap. Thousands of automated turrets opened fire, filling space with a wall of bullets and missiles. The Council ships' energy shields, designed to stop a few powerful shots, were overwhelmed by countless small impacts. "Their flagship is arriving," the sensor officer reported. A massive Council vessel, 3 times larger than their normal ships, appeared in a flash of light. High Commander Vale stood on its bridge, watching in horror as his primitive enemies tore through his best ships. "Impossible," Vale muttered, his forearms clenching in anger. "Their technology is inferior. Their species is younger. They should not be able to." His words were cut short as the Retribution demonstrated its most terrifying capability. Using its quantum drive, the massive human ship simply vanished and reappeared behind the Council flagship. "In all their centuries of space travel," Dr. White said proudly, "they never imagined someone could teleport a ship in combat." The Retribution's main gun fired again. The Council flagship's shields, the strongest in their fleet, might as well have been paper. The massive alien ship's bridge exploded into space, taking Vale and his command staff with it. In less than an hour, Humanity's first space battle was over. Broken Council ships drifted through space, their crews evacuated into escape pods. The Retribution had suffered only minor damage, its nanomaterial hull actually stronger than when the battle began. "Send a message to Earth," Reed ordered. "The blockade is broken. And send a message to every Council world." This was just the beginning. As human crews collected the alien escape pods, treating the enemy wounded with more mercy than the Council had shown Earth, Reed looked out at the battlefield. The Council had expected a primitive species to die quietly under their barrier. Instead, they had created an enemy unlike any they had faced before. "Plot a course for the next Council defense station," Reed commanded. "They thought they were gods among the stars, but they've never seen humanity at war. It's time they learned." The Retribution vanished into quantum space, leaving behind broken ships and broken beliefs about humanity's place in the galaxy. The Council's worst nightmare had begun. They had given humans a reason to fight. The Grand Council chamber shook as another explosion rocked the nearby defense station. On the massive view screen, Council members watched in horror as their mighty space station crumbled under the Retribution's relentless assault. Acting High Commander Gray, who had replaced the fallen Vale, stood before the emergency session of the Council. His pale skin had lost its usual glow, and all 6 of his eyes showed fear, an emotion rarely seen in the Council's 10,000-year history. "The humans." He paused, trying to find words. "They aren't fighting like any species we've encountered. They're not following any known battle patterns. Our tactical computers can't predict their next move because they don't make logical sense." Around the circular chamber, representatives from 50 advanced alien species watched in silence. The Retribution had destroyed 12 major defense platforms in the last week. Ships that should have taken years to defeat were being broken in hours. "Show them the battle footage," Gray ordered. The view screen displayed scenes that terrified the Council members. The Retribution appearing and disappearing at will, ignoring the laws of physics. Human fighters flying in ways that should have killed their pilots. Weapons that simply ignored their most powerful shields. Their main ship, a science advisor, spoke up, her tentacles waving in agitation. "It's getting stronger. Every time we hit it with energy weapons, its armor absorbs the power. We're making it more dangerous with each attack." In another part of space, Commander Reed stood on the Retribution's bridge, planning their next strike. The ship's quantum computers had decoded the Council's entire defense network. They could see how the mighty alien alliance was falling into chaos. "Sir," his communication officer called out, "we're picking up some interesting transmissions. Several Council member species are secretly meeting. They're questioning the Council's judgment about humanity." Reed nodded. The plan was working perfectly. Humanity hadn't just built a powerful ship. They had designed it to break the Council's confidence. Every victory showed more alien species that the Council wasn't as mighty as they claimed. Back in the Council chamber, the debate was getting heated. A tall, crystalline being rose to speak, its voice translated by computers. "For 10,000 years, we have followed the Council's wisdom," it chimed. "But you judged these humans without true knowledge. You tried to kill them without honor. Now they show us that perhaps we are not as advanced as we thought." Gray slammed his hand on the podium. "They're savages. Look at their history. Constant war, endless conflict." "Yes." Another Council member stood, this one looking almost like a living shadow. "And what did those wars teach them? Adaptation. Innovation. They learned from every battle. While we grew soft relying on technology, we no longer truly understand." The chamber erupted in argument. Some demanded immediate peace talks. Others wanted to commit their entire fleet to crushing Earth. A few suggested abandoning their territories and retreating to the far reaches of space. Their debate was interrupted by new alarms. The Retribution had appeared in yet another system, this time targeting the Council's largest shipyard. On the screens, they watched their carefully arranged ships and defense platforms fall into chaos as the human vessel ignored every rule of space combat they knew. Our tactical eyes are useless, a military advisor reported, his scales changing color with stress. They keep trying to find patterns, but the humans, they're intentionally being random. They're using our own predictability against us. In the shipyard, the Retribution demonstrated yet another terrible capability. Its fighter squadrons weren't just destroying Council ships, they were capturing them. Human crews, wearing powered armor that made them stronger than most alien species, were boarding and taking control of Council vessels. "Don't you see?" Gray shouted at the arguing Council. "They're not just fighting us. They're stealing our technology, learning our weaknesses. Every battle makes them stronger." But his words fell on deaf ears. More Council members were standing up, demanding answers about why they had attacked Earth in the first place. The mighty alliance that had ruled space for thousands of years was starting to crack. As the Council descended into chaos, Commander Reed received a secret transmission. One of the alien species wanted to talk, not to surrender, but to join forces with humanity. The Council's perfect order was falling apart, and Earth's vengeance was only beginning. "Plot our next jump," Reed ordered with a smile. "Let's give them more reasons to panic." The Retribution hung in space like a dark sword, its massive hull reflecting the light of a dying star. Around it floated the wrecks of 30 Council warships. On the bridge, Commander Reed studied the tactical display showing their next target, the Council's largest military base. "Status report," Reed ordered, his voice calm despite the upcoming battle. "Sir, the captured Council ships are in position," his tactical officer reported. "Our crews have learned how to operate their systems. Dr. White's team has even made some improvements." Dr. White smiled from her station. In just weeks, human engineers had not only learned to use Council technology, but had found ways to make it better. They had installed their own targeting systems, added kinetic weapons, and modified the shields to work against both energy and physical attacks. "Start the attack," Reed commanded. "Show them the next evolution of warfare." The Retribution vanished in a flash of quantum energy, reappearing directly above the military base. But this time, instead of attacking alone, 12 captured Council ships appeared with it. The base's defenders froze in confusion. Their sensors showed friendly ships, but these ships were fighting alongside the humans. "They're trying to contact their ships," the communications officer reported with a grin. "Should we respond?" Reed nodded. "Let them hear human voices commanding Council ships. Let them understand how completely we've beaten them." The battle that followed was unlike anything the Council had seen in their 1,000-year history. The captured ships, crewed by humans, fought with a savage grace that their original pilots never imagined possible. They performed maneuvers that Council tactical computers insisted were impossible. Inside the military base, alien commanders watched in horror as their own weapons were turned against them. The human crews had studied Council tactics for weeks and knew exactly how to counter them. Every defensive move was predicted and crushed. "Launch our fighters," Reed ordered. From both the Retribution and the captured ships, squadrons of fighters emerged. But these weren't just human fighters anymore. Earth's pilots now flew both their own craft and captured Council interceptors. They had mixed the technologies, creating hybrid fighters that combined human aggression with alien power. "Sir," his sensor officer called out, 3 Council battle fleets approaching. "They're trying to surround us." Reed smiled. "Exactly as planned. Dr. White, show them your latest surprise." Dr. White pressed a sequence of commands on her console. The Retribution's hull began to glow with stored energy, all the power it had absorbed from Council weapons in previous battles. With a flash that lit up the solar system, the ship released the energy in a massive wave. The approaching Council ships suddenly lost power. Their shields flickered and died. Their engines sputtered and went dark. The humans had turned the Council's own energy weapons into a trap, storing the power to create a massive disruption field. "All ships, attack," Reed commanded. "No mercy for their military, but remember, we saved the civilians." The battle became a slaughter. Council ships, powerless and blind, were picked apart by human kinetic weapons. The military base, its defenses overwhelmed, began emergency evacuation procedures. But the humans allowed escape pods to flee, focusing their fire only on military targets. In the council chamber, the alien leaders received the battle reports with growing dread. The humans weren't just winning. They were revolutionizing space warfare with every attack. They combined technologies in ways the council had never imagined, adapted strategies mid-battle, and showed both ruthless efficiency and unexpected mercy. Another message from the humans. A council aide reported nervously. On their screens appeared Commander Reed's face, calm and determined. Your military installations are falling. Your fleets are being captured or destroyed. But notice, we haven't targeted a single civilian world. Unlike you, we don't try to wipe out entire species. End this war, or we'll dismantle your military piece by piece. As the message ended, reports came in of more council ships defecting. Entire alien worlds were denouncing the council's leadership. The mighty alliance was facing not just military defeat, but total political collapse. The Retribution and its captured fleet moved on to their next target, leaving behind the burning wreckage of the council's greatest military base. Humanity's vengeance was reshaping the galaxy, one battle at a time. The council's capital system glowed with the engines of 10,000 ships. Every remaining vessel in their fleet had gathered for one final defense. Acting High Commander Gray stood in his new flagship's command center, watching the massive fleet take formation around the council's home station. Let them come, he said, his 6 eyes fixed on the tactical display. Even their mighty Retribution cannot defeat us all. As if answering his challenge, space itself tore open. The Retribution emerged from quantum space, but it wasn't alone. 20 captured council ships appeared with it, their hulls modified with human technology. Behind them came something new, a second human warship. Impossible, Gray shouted. They couldn't have built another one. But they had. While the Retribution kept the council distracted, Earth's shipyards had worked day and night to create its sister ship, the Vengeance. Both vessels now faced the council's fleet, their dark hulls promising destruction. On the Retribution's bridge, Commander Reed opened a channel to all council ships. This is your final warning. Surrender your military forces, end the barrier around Earth, and face justice for your attempted genocide, or be destroyed. Never. Gray's voice boomed back. All ships, attack. Show these primitives the true power of the council. 10,000 energy beams lit up space, all targeting the 2 human warships. But Reed just smiled. Dr. White, show them what we learned from studying their technology. The Retribution and Vengeance activated their new shields, a combination of council energy barriers and human nanomaterial armor. The council weapons splashed harmlessly against them, their energy absorbed and stored for later use. All ships, execute Battle Plan Thunder, Reed commanded. The human fleet split apart in a way that made council tactical computers crash in confusion. The captured ships moved in patterns that defied normal space combat logic. Fighters poured from their hangars, human pilots pushing both Earth and alien craft beyond their designed limits. Their formation makes no sense, a council tactician cried out. They're exposing their flanks, leaving gaps in their lines. But it wasn't a mistake. The humans had learned that council ships always followed perfect mathematical patterns. By fighting chaotically, they forced the alien vessels to break formation, creating confusion in their perfectly ordered ranks. The Retribution and Vengeance vanished again, using their quantum drives to appear inside the council fleet. Now the aliens' numbers worked against them. They couldn't fire without hitting their own ships, while the human vessels struck with precision. Launch the boarding teams, Reed ordered. Special Forces troops in powered armor burst from the human ships, their suits allowing them to survive in space. They landed on council vessels, cutting their way inside. Instead of destroying the ships, they captured them, adding to humanity's growing fleet. Gray watched in horror as his perfect defense crumbled. Council ships were either being destroyed or turned against him. The humans fought like demons, ignoring standard tactics, using strategies from Earth's ancient naval battles in three-dimensional space. "Sir," his aide shouted, "the human ships, they're charging up some kind of weapon." The retribution and vengeance began to glow. All the energy they had absorbed from Council weapons was about to be turned against them. Reed's voice came over all channels again. "Final warning. Surrender or be destroyed." Gray's response was to fire his flagship's main gun, the most powerful weapon in the Council's arsenal. The beam struck the Retribution directly. For a moment, everything went quiet. Then the Retribution's hull glowed brighter than a sun. The ship had absorbed the massive energy blast, and now it was ready to release everything it had stored. "All human ships, activate quantum shields," Reed commanded. The combined power of 1,000 energy weapons, stored and amplified, burst from both human warships. Every Council vessel caught in the blast lost power. Shields failed, engines died, weapons went dark. In a single moment, the mighty Council fleet became a collection of floating metal. Gray stared in disbelief as his flagship's systems shut down. On his emergency screen, he watched the human ships methodically moving through his helpless fleet, capturing or disabling every vessel. The Council's greatest fleet had been defeated. Their homeworld lay defenseless, and humanity had proven that they weren't just fighters. They were revolutionaries who had changed the face of space warfare forever. The Grand Council chamber looked very different now. Where once only alien council members sat in their elevated seats, now humans stood among them as equals. Commander Reed, still wearing his naval uniform, stood at the central podium where Acting High Commander Gray had once dismissed humanity as savages. "The barrier around Earth will be completely disabled within 1 hour," Reed announced, his voice carrying across the silent chamber. "All Council military forces have surrendered. A new era begins today." The chamber's massive screens showed the Retribution and Vengeance floating above the Council's capital world, their dark hulls a constant reminder of how completely humanity had overthrown the old order. Between them floated hundreds of captured Council ships, now crewed by mixed teams of humans and aliens who had switched sides. Dr. White stepped forward, her tablet displaying data from Earth. "Our atmosphere is already beginning to heal. Within 1 year, all damage from the Council's barrier will be reversed." The alien representatives watched in a mixture of fear and fascination. Humanity had not just defeated them. They had revolutionized space warfare and proven that the Council's 10,000-year reign of technological superiority was built on arrogance. "We could destroy you all," Reed continued, looking at each alien species representative. "We could do to you what you tried to do to Earth, but that's not humanity's way. Instead, we offer a new beginning." The chamber's doors opened, and Admiral Stone walked in, carrying an ancient Earth document. "This is called a Constitution," he explained. "For thousands of years, you ruled space through fear and power. We propose a true alliance, where every species has an equal voice." Gray, no longer in command but kept as a witness to the changes, watched in disbelief as many Council members nodded in agreement. Humanity's display of both overwhelming power and unexpected mercy had earned them respect that fear never could. "Your technological development stopped centuries ago," Dr. White addressed the chamber. "You became comfortable, rigid, predictable. Humanity offers something new: continuous innovation, adaptation, and growth. Already, our engineers are working with alien scientists, combining our technologies in ways neither of us imagined possible." The screens showed new ships under construction, vessels that merged human ingenuity with alien technology. The quantum drive was being improved, shields were becoming stronger, and weapons more precise. But this time, the advances would benefit all species, not just the ruling council. "There will be changes," Reed declared. "No more destroying primitive species, no more barriers of death. The strong will protect the weak, not destroy them. Those who break these laws will face justice from all of us. He gestured to the alien representatives who had helped humanity, the ones who had seen the truth and switched sides during the war. They stood proudly, no longer afraid of council punishment. The old council is dissolved, Admiral Stone announced. In its place, we create the Galactic Alliance. Every species gets one vote. Every voice matters. And humanity will help protect this new order with ships like the Retribution, not to rule through fear, but to defend the peace. As if to emphasize his words, the Retribution's hull shimmered above them, its advanced technology now a shield for peace rather than a weapon of war. Earth's greatest warship would become the symbol of a new age. We learned something from this war, Reed concluded. The Council thought they were superior because they had ruled space for 10,000 years. But humanity proved that innovation, adaptation, and determination are stronger than tradition and arrogance. The chamber erupted in approval. Even former Council hardliners found themselves nodding. Humanity had done the impossible. They had not just defeated the mighty Council, they had transformed it into something better. As the session ended, Reed looked out at the stars through the chamber's crystal dome. The barrier around Earth was visibly dissolving, its death-bringing energy fading away. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever. The age of the Council was over. The age of humanity and their new allies had begun. And this time, the galaxy would be ruled not by fear and power, but by cooperation and mutual respect. A new order had risen from the ashes of war, and the stars themselves would never be the same.